In the darkest days of the Second World War, Britain stood alone against the terror of the Nazi blitzkrieg. The nation rallied under the motto, "Keep calm and carry on," to turn the tide. Today, the UK faces a new kind of blitz by an infinitely more powerful invader.
There are certainly a huge number of UFO sightings in the United Kingdom. From the 1950s to the termination of the British government's UFO project, around 12,000 UFO sightings were investigated.
But the shocking details behind these incidents remain secret until now.
In May 2008, the process to release the British government's UFO files commenced. Some of these documents are largely blacked out.
Is Britain facing an alien invasion? And does the government know more than it's saying? Join us as the explosive secrets of the real British X-Files are unsealed. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed. Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Aberdeenshire, Scotland, 2012. It's the middle of a crisp fall night on the Scottish lowland. The Ritchie family is suddenly awakened by flashing lights in the sky. Looking out of the window, they are shocked to see a circular object hovering above their farm, where it remains for 4 hours. The family captures compelling video evidence of the encounter before it flies off. Authorities say they have no way of knowing what aircraft were in the area at the time. But how could one of the world's best air traffic authorities claim they don't know what's in their own airspace? Some experts believe the Ritchie sighting is just the latest in a long line of government cover-ups.
People had long suspected that the Ministry of Defense was far more closely involved in UFOs than they were letting on in public.
In 2008, the British government began releasing over 50 years of UFO files to the public.
These are hundreds of files, comprising in total tens of thousands of pages of documentation. When the government says that they're releasing information about UFOs, people should sit up and take notice. If just one of these sightings turns out to be the real thing, our world changes forever.
Unsealed case file. The British X-Files. Tangmere, West Sussex, June 1950. An RAF pilot is flying a training exercise when his jet is passed in midair by what he describes as a shining, revolving, disc-like object. It's just one in a rash of UFO encounters reported by the Royal Air Force and Royal Aircraft Establishment. The mounting evidence becomes too much for the government to ignore. They launch a top-secret investigation into these reports, dubbed the Flying Saucer Working Party. Britain, it seems, is taking the UFO question very seriously. But when the investigation's final report is issued a year later, all claims are dismissed.
The Flying Saucer Working Party concluded that there was nothing worth government time and resources.
Despite its reassuring conclusions, these findings are never made public. Why did the government hide a report that offered comfort and certainty to a frightened public? What did they have to gain by keeping people in the dark? Topcliffe, North Yorkshire, September 1952. A NATO exercise is underway, simulating a Soviet attack, when radar picks up an unexpected signal. Reports from the field describe a bright, fast-moving UFO, able to change direction with impossible ease. RAF jets scramble to pursue it, but are unable to identify the mysterious craft. The incident spurs Churchill's government into open action. In 1953, the Air Ministry is ordered to investigate UFO sightings on a permanent, ongoing basis. A new UFO hotline is established. But as one unclassified memo states, desk staff are instructed to be politely unhelpful. The Air Ministry will continue this charade until the desk is taken over by the Ministry of Defense in 1964. The MOD has a different view of UFOs. It sees the increase in sightings as a clear and present danger to Britain's national security and is about to launch an ultra-secret investigation of its own. 60 years later, its shocking findings are only now ready to be revealed. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, Britain experienced an unprecedented wave of UFO sightings. This peaks in 1966 and 67, a time when the world is preoccupied with psychedelic visions of the great beyond, the American space program, and the war in Vietnam. During this period, the government's UFO hotline records nearly 400 reported sightings. The alien debate reaches Parliament, much to the amusement of government skeptics. Behind the scenes, one department is taking the matter very seriously. The Ministry of Defense has set up a science specialist team called DI-55 to investigate UFO sightings. It's so secret that the public won't know of its existence until the 1990s.
The default position of the Ministry of Defense was to say nothing. The MOD is, by its very nature, an inherently secretive organization. There are few departments in government more secretive than the Ministry of Defense.
It's a trend that would continue throughout the 1970s and climax in the most infamous UFO incident in Britain's history. Unsealed case file, the Rendlesham Forest incident. Rendlesham Forest, Suffolk, December 1980. Two American airmen stationed at nearby RAF Woodbridge witnessed what they at first believed to be a plane crash.
John Burroughs and Jim Penniston, together with some other military personnel, sought permission to go out into the forest to investigate what they initially thought was a crashed aircraft. When Burroughs and Penniston approached the site, they found in a small clearing not a crashed aircraft, but a landed UFO.
The incident, which occurred close to not just one, but two RAF bases, represents an unprecedented breach of high-security airspace. And it wouldn't be the last.
On a subsequent night, a social function was taking place at the base when a young airman went up to the deputy base commander, Charles Holt, saluted and said, "Sir, it's back."
Holt is skeptical. Nonetheless, he goes to the landing site with a tape recorder and a Geiger counter.
We found a small blast, what looks like a blasted or scruffed up area here.
He picks up significant trace radiation readings.
The meter's definitely giving pulse.
In the middle of his investigation, he notices mysterious flashing lights nearby.
Wait, I know it's slow down. Where? Right in this position here, straight ahead, in between the tree. There it is again.
Holt records a breathless description of his encounter.
Directly north, we've got two strange objects, half-moon shaped, dancing about with colored lights on them. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground.
I've listened to this tape, and Colonel Holt is clearly describing how he and the men under his command see the UFO in the distance, and then notice the UFO actually coming closer.
It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way.
The Rendlesham Forest incident is arguably Britain's most compelling and intriguing UFO case.
Rendlesham raises serious questions in Parliament about UFOs and the nation's security. Again, the Ministry of Defense responds saying it sees no real threat and considers the matter closed. But the Rendlesham case is far from closed. When the British X-Files are first made public, they include thousands of reported sightings from the years 1965 to 2009. But the files from 1980 to 82, including Rendlesham, are conspicuously missing. When questioned regarding their whereabouts, The MOD claims they were accidentally destroyed. Is it just a coincidence that records of UFO encounters before and after Rendlesham are now missing? Or is there another agenda at work? What more was in those files? It wouldn't be the last instance of sensitive UFO documents disappearing from the Ministry archives. Unsealed case file, the Pitlochry Protocol. Pitlochry, Scotland, 1990. Two men walking in the countryside take photos of a strange diamond-shaped aircraft accompanied by 2 RAF jets. They send the photos and negatives to a Scottish regional paper, which doesn't print the story, but instead sends the evidence on to the MOD. Fearing the story might explode into a media circus, the MOD takes the unusual step of briefing government officials about the incident. They are instructed to withhold details from the public and simply reassure them that the matter is being investigated. The photos, meanwhile, are tucked safely away in the MOD archive in hope the story will simply go away. What was the Pitlochry object, and why was it accompanied by 2 RAF jets? The MOD claims it was the test flight of a new aircraft. But why did they go to such lengths to keep the story from the public? Coming up, a former MOD insider is an eyewitness to the UK's most shocking UFO cover-ups. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. Over the past 50 years, Britain's UFO desk has recorded some 12,000 UFO sightings. But the Ministry of Defense has steadfastly refused to investigate them, all the while keeping their shocking details from the public. Compelling evidence from incidents in Rendlesham Forest in 1979 and Pitlochry, Scotland in 1990 has mysteriously disappeared from the MOD archives. But at the start of the 1990s, the world is changing. Cold War secrecy is giving way to glasnost. Apartheid is cracking and will soon give way to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And Britain's UFO desk is about to see the arrival of a man who will help lift the veil of government secrecy. His name is Nick Pope.
When I was posted to the UFO project in 1991, I didn't really know what to expect. I had no prior knowledge or interest in the UFO phenomenon. To me, this was simply another government job.
It isn't long, however, before Nick Pope realizes that UFO investigation is no ordinary job. Unsealed case file, the Cosford Incident. The year is 1993. 2 years into his assignment at the UFO desk sees Nick Pope approaching the job with a dedication severely lacking in his predecessors.
We had a huge reach. I could call on investigative resources that would have put anyone else to shame. If we had a photo or a video, I could get Air Force technical specialists to analyze and enhance that imagery.
He's already investigated many strange cases, but nothing could prepare him for the surreal events of March 30th, a UFO blitz.
This was a wave of sightings throughout the United Kingdom that took place over a period of around 6 hours.
The bizarre series of incidents climax with the appearance of a massive UFO flying over RAF Cosford and RAF Shawbury in the Midlands.
There were several dozen witnesses, including an Air Force officer with 8 years' experience, specifically of looking into the sky, judging things that he saw there. So you could not ask for a better witness.
The man sees a massive triangular-shaped craft hovering 200 feet in the air. It emits a low-frequency humming sound and fires a narrow, laser-like beam of light down at the ground. The giant ship moves slowly toward the base before suddenly deactivating its beam and darting off beyond the horizon much faster than any RAF jet. The encounter leaves the veteran airman rattled.
When I interviewed the witness the morning after this sighting, his voice was still shaking.
Pope notes striking similarities between Cosford and Rendlesham Forest a decade before.
That the witnesses are military, and also the fact that the shape of the UFO is essentially triangular, though the sizes of the craft are very different.
Were these UFOs constructed by the same alien race? Was Britain under some kind of extraterrestrial surveillance? There are so many witnesses to the Cosford incident that the MOD is left with no choice. It is at last forced to admit that an unidentified object, or objects of unknown origin, was operating over the UK. In 1998, Prime Minister Tony Blair holds a closed-door meeting with MOD to be briefed on the risks of revealing sensitive UFO knowledge. He is told the ministry has only a limited interest in UFO matters, but remains open-minded to the existence of alien life forms. It takes another 10 years before the British government at last opens its massive X-File archive in 2008. At the time, Britain braced itself for what it might learn.
A short time ago, everyone had a little piece of the puzzle, but no one had put it all together. Now, with the declassification and release of the British government's file on this case, we can see the entire picture.
Up next, stay tuned for the final revelation of Britain's X-Files. Will the UK government reveal what it knows about UFOs? This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. In 2008, the British Ministry of Defence released 60 years of Britain's classified UFO X-Files. The documents expose decades of government misinformation on UFOs.
There are also documents that show how consistently, over the years, the Ministry of Defence tried to downplay the extent of the UFO phenomenon and discredit any media outlets that ran serious stories about UFOs and portray anyone who investigated UFOs as cranks.
Britain's X-Files have revealed a disturbing pattern, one that dates back to the Rendlesham Forest incident.
There are lots of rumours that there were nuclear weapons at Woodbridge. UFOs are interested in our missile sites, our nuclear weapons program, our military bases.
In 2009, the British government unexpectedly shut down the nation's UFO hotline, leaving terrified citizens nowhere to turn.
Please note that it is no longer MOD policy to record, respond to, or investigate UFO sightings. Therefore, it is no longer possible to leave messages on this number. Further details are available on our website.
In the months following the hotline's closure, UFO sightings across the United Kingdom tripled.
There's an old saying in the military, train hard, fight easy. There should be a contingency plan for alien contact and for alien invasion. The number one issue is defense.
What is the possibility of a major alien event on the horizon? And is there anything Britain can do about it? This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth.